we have to set good rules and habits in place. I always tell them, don't miss twice. Once you have a meal that's, off plan where you get to indulge yourself, cool, whatever. But the most important thing right after that is you have to make your next meal a healthy one. If we're always starting and stopping, you're never going to get anywhere. In fact, you're always going to slide backwards. Nobody is that busy.
Exactly.
Yeah, you might think you are, but really, if you have at least 10 minutes, even 1 minute in your day, you can do something. People are going to think, oh, cool, I burned 500 calories. I get to eat that back. No, that's not how it works. I tell people, look, just because you burn 500 calories doesn't mean that's your extra buffer. If we do this and we're consistent, at the bare minimum, you're going to maintain your weight. And I see that as a victory.
Tim Liu, welcome back to the show. How's it going?
Good, man. Thanks for having me again.
I will have you as many times as you'd like to come on the show. Tim, remind the audience who you are and what you do for anybody that hasn't seen any of your stuff yet.
Sure. I'm an online fitness and nutrition coach. I'm based out here in LA. I help busy guys and girls get in shape without having to live in a gym and to build their sustainable fat loss habits so they can not only lose the weight, but to keep it off.
I think that's the most important thing is to actually keep it off because, it's easy to lose weight, right? I mean, you can actually technically cut off an arm and say that you lost weight, but is it sustainable, right? Sustainability is so important.
Right. Absolutely.
Tim, talk to me about motivation. We haven't really talked about that. What's your take on people always needing motivation to lose the weight? I'm talking specifically about those people using the Monday motivation after going YOLO on the weekend.
Totally. A lot of people, need motivation to accomplish certain goals. Like you and I, we're not any much different. We have certain physique goals or business goals, and we need some sort of, whether it's extrinsic or intrinsic motivation to help us continue taking action. The problem is that with fitness, fat loss, a lot of people rely on only motivation alone, and it'll help you, give you that little initial boost, but you can't rely on it forever. You're going to get burnt out. There's going to be days, weeks where you just feel like, I don't want to do any of this. This sucks. Why am I continuing to plow through? That's when it's important to build habits so that in that way we show up and we do what we need to do, whether or not we feel like it. The problem is over the weekend, a lot of people, they crush it hard Monday through Friday. Then come Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, they go out with friends. They want to socialize. They want to just let loose because they worked hard all week and they need a way to decompress, relax. So a lot of people end up using food and drink as a way to cope, as a way to relieve stress. They go off the rails. They undo all the good work they put in Monday through Friday. Then they end up rinse and repeating come Monday, and they're just losing and gaining the same 5 pounds or more year in and year out. And it's just a vicious diet cycle that a lot of people around the world suffer from, and they need to break away from that.
Absolutely. That's why I'm obsessed with building a system. Stop focusing on goals, focus on systems, right? And we build a system through habits. And the other problem I think with motivation is that you only have a finite amount of it. It runs out, right? I always hear it whenever I do consultations with clients that, I just want to go back to that time when I was motivated. And I think that that's just not the right way to look at things. The other thing too, about when you said that, people just go all out on weekends, is that if you start that trend Friday night, all the way to Sunday night, if you do a little math, that is a third of your meals where it's just whatever. Right. And you just can't expect to keep losing weight that way.
Yeah, no doubt. It's not realistic. Like, even though you can technically work out as much as you can, why would you want to do that? You just burn yourself out even more.
Absolutely. And it's just such an inefficient way to burn calories is when you try to manually burn calories, by punishing yourself by doing cardio. I just think that it's a bad precedent for when it comes to your relationship with yourself, that you need to be punished for what you did over the weekend.
Totally. I always tell some of my clients, it's easier to not eat the jelly donut than it is to, work out and burn 300 calories.
Absolutely. I mean, if you actually look at the numbers, an hour of hard cardio only burns around 400 or 500 calories.
Mhm.
right? That's a couple of donuts. You know what I mean?
One
That's
and a
not a
half. I
very,
think that's 1.5 donuts.
yeah. It depends on the size of the donut. That's not a very good ROI.
Totally.
Tim, well, if they do kind of cheat, right? Or if they have a treat, what do you tell someone to quickly bounce back from that? How can somebody bounce back from a treat, if you will?
We have to set good rules and habits in place. I always tell them don't miss twice. Once you have a meal that's, off plan where you get to indulge yourself, cool, whatever. But the most important thing right after that is you have to make your next meal a healthy one.
Yes.
It's just as easy as it is to gain momentum than to lose it. Let's say you're doing well Monday through Friday, Saturday morning, you brunch with your friends, you have like a bottomless mimosa, cool, whatever. It is what it is. Just make sure that dinner later tonight, that night, you're not, doing pizza and wings or like having more drinks with your friends. You make the next meal, something relatively lighter with protein and vegetables. That way we just stop it right there. You don't let those habits slide into Sunday as well. And then you're going to feel like you're fighting an uphill battle come Monday morning.
And then you're
That's
looking for
most
that
important.
motivation again,
Yeah, totally.
right?
Exactly.
I think it's from the book Atomic Habits, where they say missing once is an accident, missing twice is the start of a new habit, right? So we need to cut the cord right away on it, if you will.
Yeah, maintaining that momentum.
Absolutely. Tim, talk to me about the default mentality that a lot of people have when it comes to putting their fitness aside when life gets in the way, because it will always get in the way. What do you tell someone who's struggling with that?
I tell them, look, like you said, life will always get in the way. There's never going to be a perfect time. And the problem is when you put your fitness on hold, it just gets you better at that. It just gets you better at pausing. It doesn't teach you the skills to maintain your habits. It doesn't teach you the resilience to continue with your goals. If we're always starting and stopping, you're never going to get anywhere. In fact, you're always going to slide backwards because it's so hard for a lot of people to even begin their fitness journey as it is. And if you've been, trying to live a healthier lifestyle and you go off the rails and you lose all momentum, mentally, it's a lot harder to start back up again.
Absolutely.
And I tell people, look, if you're busy, totally understand, life happens for everybody. What you need to do is you need to, at the bare minimum, maintain what you have. I'm sure you've had clients like this where, they're crushing it with you. Then they're like, hey, I need to take a break. Life is a little crazy. Then they come back to you and they've gained a little more weight. And they're like, hey, we need to do this again. I've slipped. I've let my habits fall apart. I've gained like 10, 20 pounds since the last time we spoke. So, we don't want to work harder than we need to. And we need to break out of these old default patterns of just, hey, I need to take a while to get my head right to commit to this. No, I'm not gonna let you slip like that. We have to at least bare minimum maintain what we have.
Absolutely. I think that's why it's so important to have a coach to keep you accountable as well along your journey. And again, we need to stop relying on goals so much. And I'm going to bring it back to this. We need to rely on systems so that, if life gets in the way, we can just simplify things. So I actually was on a call with a client. He's a doctor yesterday, and he can't get in his steps, his 10,000 step goal for the day. And I told him, listen, just walk around the hallway. Give me 1 minute of something. Give me a 1 minute micro workout. Give me 1 minute of walking. Anybody has an extra minute to spare, right? If you don't, you have a big problem.
Yeah, nobody is that busy.
Exactly.
Yeah, you might think you are, but really, if you have at least 10 minutes, even 1 minute in your day, you can do something.
Absolutely. 100%. Tim, what's your dietary pattern look like these days? What's a typical eating day for you?
Okay. For me, I try because, I'm relatively active as I should be. I lean towards more of a higher protein, higher carb intake. So for breakfast, I'll have a couple eggs, maybe 1 or 2 chicken sausages, a slice of sourdough toast or some fruit, 2 cups of coffee. I'll get in my workout. I'll do my protein shake, 1 to 2 scoops of protein powder, a little creatine, some water. That's all you need. And then my post-workout meal is a lean protein of some kind, whether it's chicken, lean cut of steak, fish, whatever. I'll have a couple vegetables. And then for starches, whatever I'm craving for the week, whether it's white rice, potatoes, maybe a little higher protein pasta. For portion size, I stick to about the size of a fist or two, depending on how high my training volume is. And then for the rest of the meals, kind of the same thing. Or if I'm not as active, I just stick to protein vegetables, depending on my activity level. It's real simple. I don't have to think about it. I just do it. And it's helped me maintain.
Because you have a system.
Exactly. Yeah. But once you set your system up, your brain's just on autopilot. You don't think about it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's how I would do it. If I'm dining out, I'll make room for an occasional indulgence, like maybe like a higher carb meal, or maybe like a dessert or a glass of wine, whatever. But I just choose one, but not the other. And then once I'm done enjoying myself, next meal, back on track.
I love it. There you go. Leading by example.
Yeah, real simple. It's not rocket science.
For sure. I love that you mentioned depending on your activity level is how you base your carb intake. That is so important for a lot of people to understand, is that you need to earn your carbs in that sense. So speaking of activity level, Tim, what's a typical training? What's your training pattern like these days?
I do mostly strength training. I'll do like an upper body, lower body session. Upper body, compound movements, pressing, like bench presses, rows, pull-ups, shoulder presses. For lower body, a squat pattern, some sort of deadlift pattern, lunges, split squats. I'll do some cardio activity, like I'll do a cycling. I'll hop on the rower. Sometimes I'll take a HIIT class because I teach at a studio, and that's, it's a good way to keep things mixed up. I'll do some boxing as well because that's what I enjoy.
Love it.
And it's tough. So like upper, lower, little conditioning in between.
For sure. How often do you train?
4 or 5 times a week.
I love it. I love that number. Is there a certain food or supplement that you're really excited about these days?
Well, I mean, everyone should take like the regular stuff like zinc, mag, vitamin D, fish oil. I really like Tongkat Ali and mushroom powder. It's good for immune system, good for heart health, antiviral, anti-cancer properties. There's a product I really like. It's a blend of 7 different mushrooms. I just put it in my coffee.
Wow.
And it gives me a good mental boost. I don't have to rely on too many stimulants because most of us have too much caffeine anyway.
For sure. Guilty.
So mushroom powder. I would say mushroom powder.
For sure. I love it. I'm just going to throw it in there. I just discovered grass-fed and grass-finished beef liver pills.
Ooh, okay.
A lot of people. I have a company that reached out to me and kind of wanted me to test their products. And I'm really excited about it because I've always said that grass-fed and grass-finished beef liver is one of, if not the most nutrient-dense food on the planet. The problem is, and I don't know how you feel about it, it's an acquired taste. Some people just can't fathom the texture of liver. So I think it's a great way to be able to get those benefits without actually having to chew the beef liver. Have you tried beef liver before? How do you feel about organ meat?
I like organ meats. Like growing up, immigrant parents, we use the entire animal, nose to tail.
I love it.
So we'll eat cuts that, traditional Westerners don't have in their diet. Liver's not high on my list of things. I mean, you can mask the flavor with some onions and other seasoning.
Liver and onions.
Yeah. But would I eat liver on a normal day-to-day basis? Probably not. I'll take tablets though, just to make it simple.
For sure. And I'm going to put a link in the description below for anybody that kind of wants to see what I'm taking here. Tim, talk to me about, you're really big on resistance training. I was watching your video yesterday. You were doing some dumbbell press. I think you were lifting, 100 pounds or something. You make it look super light. Very impressive. Talk to me about the importance of building and maintaining muscle. Where does that play in all of this?
So we take a look. Let's take, for example, the pyramid, the hierarchy for fat loss. So, besides being the calorie deficit, that's at the very bottom. I would say the next pillar above that is resistance training. A lot of us aren't doing any sort of strength training. No matter what your goals are, especially for losing weight, you have to be doing some sort of strength work. Building and maintaining lean muscle is so important when you're trying to lose fat, because that's going to elevate your metabolism. It's going to make sure that, if you're trying to look toned, look lean, you need to build that muscle tone. Otherwise, once you've lost the weight on the scale, you're going to have that skinny fat look. You're not going to
Yes.
have any sort of, lines or like look good. And if you're older, we lose our metabolic rate, we lose muscle as we age. And it's basically the fountain of youth. So
Absolutely.
that's why I tell people, hey, even if you're not a big weightlifter, you have to do some sort of resistance training, 1 or 2 times a week as a bare minimum, just just to cover your bases and to make sure that you're hanging on to your lean mass.
Absolutely. I read a stat a few days ago where the average North American loses half a pound of muscle and puts on a pound and a half of fat from age 25 to 55. Right.
Wow. Okay.
So, people get into their 50s and 60s, they look at themselves and they're 20 pounds heavier and they're like, where did this come from? I've also been exposed a lot to, I don't know, are you familiar with Dr. Gabriel Lyon?
I may have seen 1 or 2 blurbs from him.
Well, her stance is that she focuses on a muscle-centric approach to fat loss. And she says, and I agree with her 100% in that, it really is from a metabolic perspective. A lot of people are not over fat, they're under muscled. I mean, I'm going to ask you, do you think that the lean muscle mass that you've built over the years has something to do with you being able to keep the fat off after your initial weight loss transformation or fat loss transformation?
Totally. Let's say if you copy me, like there's 2 copies of me, one, my current shape, and my doppelganger, he weighs the same, but he has less muscle tone. If we eat the same meal, I have more leeway with
Absolutely
it, than a less leaner version. The leaner you are, the more muscle mass you have, the more efficient your body is able to use the nutrients that you put into the body in there. So yeah, totally. And going back into your point, when you're saying we're losing muscle and we're gaining fat, if you're not doing anything to build and hang on to your muscle, as you get older, even though you may weigh the same, you're getting worse metabolically. You're basically turning into like a skinny fat person. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I've changed my paradigm a lot these days when it comes to how I talk to people and what people really need to focus on. Because, at some point, we really need to stop thinking about losing weight. We need to start thinking about getting stronger, right? We need to start thinking about building muscle, maintaining muscle. I have never met anybody whose life got worse because they have more muscle on their frame.
Right.
Muscle is like money. Your life gets better when you have more of it.
Totally.
Right? So I just think that we need to stop focusing so much on losing weight. We need to focus on getting stronger, getting more functional. How cool is it if, you're in your 50s and 60s and you can deadlift 225 pounds, right? To me, that's way more impressive. Totally. And you have way better quality of life that way.
Yeah. If you're 50 and 60 and you can't stand up, sit down, pick something up, like, what are you doing?
Exactly.
What's your quality of life? Yeah,
exactly. Totally. It's so true.
Guys, by the way, if you're listening to this on iTunes, feel free to leave us a review if you're enjoying this. It'll mean the world to me because that's going to help the podcast reach more people. So thank you so much for doing that. And if you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to hit that like button to tell the algorithm that this video is awesome.
What are some common self-sabotaging fat loss habits that you see a lot of people make?
Okay, a big one. Let's say, you do a group fitness class. Turns out that on your tracker, you burn 500 calories. People are going to think, oh, cool, I burned 500 calories. I get to eat that back. No, that's not how it works. I tell people, look, just because you burn 500 calories doesn't mean that's your extra buffer. And a lot of those calorie trackers, they're not that accurate. They overestimate from anywhere from like 20 to 50%.
Yeah.
And it doesn't give you
We're not getting sponsorship deals here.
Yeah. You don't get a free pass to eat whatever you want.
Absolutely.
So I think that's the biggest self-sabotage, knowingly or unknowingly. using food as a reward for all the hard work you've done it. Yeah.
There you go. You're not a dog. Don't reward yourself with food. Tim, I was reading a stat the other day that about 42% of US adults say that they gained weight during this whole public health crisis, and the average number is 29 pounds. Add that on top of the already popular stat that, around 70% of American adults are either in the overweight or obese category. And they're predicting that by 2030, that stat is going to be at around 90%. Even if we're in that ballpark of those numbers, that's a pretty scary stat. You and your clients, on the other hand, seem to be ignoring that trend. You guys are just killing it. So, for somebody who's frustrated, who feels hopeless right now, watching this, listening to this, what's one piece of advice that you could give to that person to kind of just get the ball rolling?
Yeah, so those are some scary stats, man. 90% by 2030. Yeah. I don't believe it, but
again, even if we're in that ballpark, that's still scary.
No, for sure. Okay, so if you're concerned about your health, if you want to make a change, and if starting your fitness journey is very daunting to you, make it as easy as possible. We were chatting a little bit last time about going after the lowest hanging fruit. Let's say you're completely sedentary, your diet's not the best. Start with, one simple change. If you're not getting in your steps, go for a walk.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
Walk around your neighborhood, get some steps in. If you're only getting like 100,000 steps, 1,100, 1,150, 2,000, whatever. If, your diet is mostly, takeout, you're door dashing your food, start, eating less of it. Start with portion control. Instead of eating 3 slices of pizza, begin with 2. Eat a vegetable. If you haven't touched a plant in a while, start with eating some broccoli, some cauliflower, some green beans. There's always something you can do to move the needle. Pick one thing that you can change, go all in on it, stick with it for a week or 2 weeks until it's implanted into you. Then find the next thing, stack it on top, and then over the course of weeks, months, you're going to be living a healthier lifestyle. The fat and the weight's going to start dropping, and this fitness journey is going to be more sustainable and more of a lifestyle than being on another diet. Yeah,
for sure. 1% better every day. Again, I was just reading Atomic Habits, and according to James Clear, if you focus on being 1% better every day in 1 year, you are 37 times better.
Wow.
1 year, in just 1 year, right? So guys, if you're frustrated, if you feel hopeless, think about that stat for a second, right? You could be completely different. You could look completely different. You could have a completely different life in just 1 year. In the grand scheme of things, 1 year is nothing. And I love that you said that, hey, just start with walking. Again, not to discount the importance of strength training, but you can get 80 to 90% of your weight loss goals just by walking. Just combine walking with, like you said, just a couple of days of resistance training. It doesn't have to be heavy as long as it's intense and you have enough volume. It's more than enough, right?
Totally.
I think a lot of people need to get out of the mentality that they need to be, again, punishing themselves at the gym, right? It's not. You should view that as a privilege that you get to move, you get to lift weights. We need to change the relationship with exercise for a lot of people. It's not a punishment. Ask a sick person right now who's bedridden. Ask that person what's one thing that they like to do right now to move.
Yeah, things we take for granted. In terms of doing more exercise, there's something that we call junk volume, where there's only so many muscle fibers, motor units that you can recruit in a day. Any more of that, it's going to mess with your recovery. It doesn't do you any good, and you're just working harder than you need to, and it's a quicker way to burn out. So there's only so many squats, push-ups, crunches, curls that are effective in a single training session. For a lot of people, going overboard and doing more volume, it's not better for you.
More isn't always better. Only better is better.
That's right.
And actually, guys, if you're really sore the next day, you feel like you can't walk, you feel like you just got hit by a bus, you overdid it. You overdid it. Right? You can't get it all back in just 1 day. Tim, we've already started the gauntlet of holiday season, right? Starting with Halloween. Canadian Thanksgiving is already done. You have American Thanksgiving coming up, and then you've got, Christmas for people that celebrate Christmas, and then it's New Year's, right? This is when, starting around October to January is where most people gain the weight. How does somebody stay on track and stay fit or even keep losing weight during the holidays?
Okay, so from now until January, every weekend there's going to be something, whether it's seeing
For sure.
friends, whether it's family. American Thanksgiving, where you just feast till you're stuffed silly. You've got Christmas, where there's, treats, more eating, more drinking, eggnog, all that stuff. So now for a lot of people is when they gain a majority of their weight. Just like we talked about earlier, setting systems and starting now. A lot of people going back to, being busy, they're like, you know what? I've got so much going on. I don't have time to commit to a fitness program. I'm just going to put it off until January. That's the worst thing you can do, because you're going to gain more weight. You're going to be, swimming upstream just to get playing catch up. And you're going to be, let's say you're going to your gym. Come January, it's going to be flooded. You're going to be, not going to be able to get in an efficient workout because everything's taken. You got to wait for equipment to be open. So from now until then, at the bare minimum, at least maintain your habits. Get in at least 2 to 3 workouts a week. And then on your off days, do some sort of activity, whether it's walking, whether it's like, hiking, something to burn some calories. And now we need to set the right eating habits, the right strategies. So, Monday through Friday, lean protein, veggies, carbs, depending on how active you are. And then on, your social events, what I tell people is, look, get in a workout the day of, you have a little bit of a calorie buffer. And before you go, hang out with friends, family, all that stuff, eat a small meal consisting of lean protein, veggies. So you're not as hungry going into it. You're not as likely to indulge because hopefully your brain mechanism, you're not going to be stuffing yourself so even though you've eaten already. And then, it keeps your portions relatively in control. Make healthier choices. If you need to indulge, pick one. If it's a glass of wine, cool. If it's a piece of cake or dessert, cool, but not both. And then, after dinner's over, the next morning, get back on track. Don't miss twice. Make your breakfast, if you eat breakfast, a healthy meal, lean protein, veggies, whatever. And then that way we minimize any damage that we accumulate over these social events. If we do this and we're consistent, at the bare minimum, you're going to maintain your weight. And I see that as a victory.
Absolutely.
The holidays is the hardest time to lose weight. I don't think that should be a goal to try to lose fat. It puts a lot of pressure on you, and we don't want you to fail and to have such a big goal hanging over you. So at least build and maintain habits. That's what I tell people.
I love it. I just want to add to that as well. I think that this is where a tool like intermittent fasting can be used effectively is if you know that there's an event that night, maybe it's okay for you to skip breakfast or even lunch that day, kind of save all your calories for that dinner. And like you said, maybe before you go to that event, you break the fast with like some sort of protein and some vegetables so you can make sensible decisions at that event. Speaking of which, be sensible about your food intake on these things. Don't have the scarcity mindset that you need to eat everything in sight. Doesn't make you a bad person if you ate a slice of pizza. Just don't have the entire box, right? Have that glass of wine, like you said. But maybe in between that glass of wine, you're drinking a big glass of water or big glass of soda water, just kind of as a buffer. So you're not just chugging and eating everything in sight.
Totally. And a lot of times, some of the foods we psychologically crave, when we're done, it doesn't even feel like it's worth it. So
absolutely. Nothing tastes as good as skinny feels is what I've heard before. So, come January, Tim, a lot of people, they start their New Year's resolutions. Talk to me about managing fat loss expectations. I'm sure you've had consultations with people and they want to lose 10 pounds in 10 days. What do you tell somebody that wants to lose all the weight in record time?
All right. So I like to see their past dieting history, see what worked, what didn't work, and setting realistic expectations. Going into New Year, it feels like a mental reset, like, hey, the New Year is going to be my year. I'm going to achieve all these goals. I'm just going to crush it. The intentions are there, but our actions and our mindset, it's not going to coincide with each other. because real life happens. So what I try to tell people is, hey, look, if you really want to achieve your fitness goals, I'm going to have to dial you back a little bit. We need to make this sustainable long term. I don't want you to go hard for 4 weeks, do a fat loss challenge, get burnt out, lose motivation, regain the weight, and rinse and repeat. I like to set short-term goals, short-term achievable, realistic goals. That way, it's easier for them to manage, and it helps them, going back to motivation, it helps them stay on track. And then once we reach a certain milestone, whether it's, losing 3 or 4 pounds in a month, which is pretty good. Believe it or not, like, I know it's easy to fall for the slick fitness marketing. Like, hey, I dropped 10 pounds in 2 weeks. Sure. But did you regain it all back? So when I'm doing,
the answer is usually yes.
When I do consultations with clients, I set realistic goals. I see what's worked or not worked with them in the past, and keeping them on track and making sure that they're consistent. It's not sexy. It's not, oh my God, I've got the best program for you to just melt the fat off. It's straightforward, it's consistent. And then come month 6, summertime, they're going to be like, oh my God, I can't believe I dropped all this weight. It's such a mental reframe that, like, this is a long-term, lifestyle change.
Absolutely. I think a lot of people also need to focus on non-scale victories. That's why I get all my clients to take measurements and take pictures of themselves. We were talking about, obviously, a pound of muscle and a pound of fat weigh the same. But if you compare weekly pictures of yourself, you're going to see that your stomach is a little bit smaller, right? Your back fat is a lot smaller. You're a lot leaner. So sometimes when you build muscle at the same time, when you do resistance training, I think sometimes people are so married to the number on the scale that if you are building muscle, well, maybe the scale doesn't move so much. But again, we also need to focus on how you look. How do you feel is another important metric. Tell me a more important metric than how you feel. Always.
Right. Totally. And I'm sure you've had clients to where, the scale stays the same, but their waist is slimmer, their clothes are a lot looser. And it's like, what more do you want? I understand it's easy to get caught up on the number, but look, if your stomach is flatter, your arms are looking better, then who cares?
Exactly. Yeah. We need to be less married to the number on the scale. It does not define you as a human being. Tim, what's one thing that you kind of wish you would have started doing sooner?
One thing I would have done sooner is to get into less extremes. So I've tried crash diets when I was overweight, 1,200 calories, run every day. That was a quick ticket to getting burnt out. I wouldn't have gone to extreme. And on the other side of it, like, once I got leaner, I was like, cool. All right, time to start bulking up. I start eating, 1,000 calories above my maintenance and just ended up getting fat again. So one thing, going back, if I were to do this all over again, is to realize that you don't need to be so extreme with your approach, whether pendulum swing into super low calorie or pendulum swing the other way of just stuffing your face silly to bulk up. Just like smaller increases for calorie surplus for building muscle and a smaller deficit for losing fat. Because going back, this is a lifestyle change. We need to make this a long-term sustainable thing for us.
For sure. If we do some simple math here for our audience right now, if you lose a pound a week, sounds like nothing, right? But if you do a little math, and in 6 months, that's 26 pounds. And this is actually what happened to one of my clients. She lost 26 pounds in 6 months, but she dropped 6 dress sizes.
That's amazing.
For our female audience watching this, that is life-changing. You're going to be unrecognizable if you drop 6 dress sizes. So to me, that's way more impressive than, again, only losing a pound a week. So I totally agree with what you said, that, it's all about setting sustainable goals that are achievable for you. So you feel like you're winning, right? You're building credibility within yourself. To me, that is the only sure path when it comes to long-term success. Is if you enjoy what you're doing, right? You feel good about it. It becomes a part of who you are on a cellular level. To me, like going for a walk and doing some sort of physical activity every day, it's just as automatic as me brushing my teeth. Do I miss brushing my teeth sometimes? Sure, maybe, right? But I do.
You don't miss twice.
Yeah, you never miss twice. You're gonna have bad breath. It's not a good look. Tim, thanks for coming on the show today. If people want to connect with you, where can people find you?
They can find me on my website, timliufitness.com. You can find me on Instagram at timliufitness. Shoot me a DM. You can shoot me an email, tim@timliufitness.com. Yeah, if you have any questions, want to chat, shoot me a message, and we can go from there.
Love it. Tim, let's do this again soon.
The next question then becomes, how and what are you actually supposed to eat if you want to lose weight? Because 80% of your body composition is determined by your diet. This is also where a lot of people go wrong. Do you have a proven plan that you can follow? To help you with that, I want to give you a free copy of my Lean Body Blueprint. This is how I was finally able to get rid of all my stubborn fat without depriving myself of my favorite foods or spending countless hours doing cardio. It's a simple and proven 4-step process specifically designed for busy professionals like you, and it's also the exact same blueprint that I teach to all my coaching clients, and they've all gone to see some amazing results. If you want to be the next success story, then download your free copy of the Lean Body Blueprint right now. There's going to be a link somewhere at the top here or in the description box. Just click on it, type in your email, and I'll send it to you right away. Hey, give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it and share it with your friends. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I post a new video every week, and feel free to comment below if you have any questions about this video. All right, I'll see you in the next one. Virtual high five.